Your top 5 quarterbacks.
Bryce is one.
Mhm.
Will
Why
Anderson is
why would you take Bryce over C.J. Stroud or Will Levis or Richardson? Why would you take him? He was undersized. Yes, he's won a Heisman. We've seen a lot of Heisman Trophy winners get drafted. He plays for Alabama. Alabama quarterbacks are not successful in the league. Go look at the list of quarterbacks that have come into the NFL. There's one over there, Macaroni Jones over there. He hasn't been successful yet for the Patriots. Why would you pick an Alabama quarterback over the other quarterbacks, the strong arm Will Levis or the Richardson, the phenomenon he was on at the combine?
I think you could honestly make a case for all four of them. It just comes down to what you're prioritizing. Like if you're prioritizing, let me get my lottery ticket and run it in and see if I hit big, like a Richardson. Richardson, if he hits, is a number one QB in the league. To be honest, like he has special physical tools that we haven't seen before, really. And it's really, again, like I said, it comes down to what are you looking for. For me, I'll take a guy who has that accuracy, who has that calm under pressure, and who has a degree of escapability where he's not going to tear you up athletically in the same way that a Richardson would, or he's not going to be necessarily the pretty pocket passer that Stroud is. But I think he has the best blend of all these different traits to be a consistent, game to game quality starter. I understand the concerns with the size. The question is he going to hold up physically? Is he
Mm-hmm.
durable enough? That's a hard one to answer. I would say if you're taking that roll of the dice, it's the same roll of the dice you're taking with Stroud of, hey, can he extend outside of the pocket? Can he make plays outside of the pocket? And it's the same roll of the dice you'd be taking with Richardson of, hey, can this guy kind of clean these things up and develop into what we hope he can be? Or is he always going to be what he was as a redshirt sophomore at Florida who's throwing 53% and has all the tools but hasn't put it together?
But
Every one of those guys that has that element of risk. So I'd take the risk of, hey, he's a little bit small, but
mm-hmm.
everything else is there.
But you're looking at Bryce and you look at Tua. Tua has all these concussion problems. Bryce Young is small. He's never played with behemoths with the speed that they have at the line of scrimmage. Wouldn't that scare you when you're picking him at number one when you can get a guy like C.J. Stroud who's 6'2", 6'3"? He's the prototypical quarterback that you want. That you saw what he did against Georgia. He played one of those fantastic games in that championship against Georgia, or even Will Levis, who couldn't stay healthy this year. But when you did see him over there in Kentucky, he was throwing the ball. He was showing you what he can do. The Josh Allen arm-like type of quarterback that we've seen get drafted over the last couple of years.
As far as playing with behemoths at the line of scrimmage, I mean, he's playing in the SEC. He's playing against the same levels of competition.
Not at the speed those guys are in the NFL.
It's as close as you're going to get in college.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact he was able to go up at that level of competition and not really have any issues with it. And then it also goes to, when you're making these projections on guys, it's always looking forward to saying, hey, when you take this guy from college and just kind of drop him into the NFL, what does that physically look like? And it's going to look a little bit different than playing in the SEC, but it's not that big of a step up. If you were to take him out of the MAC or something like that, that's 3-4 steps up. You take him out of the SEC, hey, these guys are getting a little bit bigger. They're getting a little bit faster, but it's not this huge, jump he has to make where you're really concerned about it.
Offensive tackle, defense, edge rusher, and corner too. You're top 5 of each of those positions because there's no definitive. Probably besides Anderson, like nobody had a definitive number one with everything else.
Yeah, Anderson would be one there for me. I wasn't huge on Tyree Wilson. I understand some of the hype. I think part of that was pushed by Trayvon Walker going as high as he did, but I didn't see that type of athlete or that type of upside, quite frankly, in Tyree Wilson. Paris Johnson was my number one tackle. He was pretty far up there. And I think Broderick Jones, I would have had him over Skoronski as well. So I think the quarterbacks would have been kind of the top of the stack. It would have been Bryce, probably Will Anderson after that, then Paris Johnson. Then you get into that Stroud, Richardson, Levis territory.
How about Carter? You never mentioned Jalen Carter.
Oh, I didn't know you were including Carter in that. I thought.
Yeah, I think Jalen Carter is the best pass rusher in this class.
Oh no. If we're talking purely physical talent, it would be probably. Mm-hmm. It depends on if you value quarterback more, right? Like if I'm going purely on just relative to their peers at the position, Carter's one, and then Will Anderson's two. I think Carter had pretty much the most complete tape there was. Obviously, you've got the off-field stuff, and you've got maybe you don't value D tackle as much as quarterback or DN, but I thought he was the freakiest guy I watched last year without